Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview series with our digital innovators in India on a topic of envisaging a digital future. It's a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. It gives me an immense pleasure in introducing our guest for today. He is Mr. Bharath Iyengar, Senior Vice President, Cybersecurity and GRC at ValueMomentum. Bharath has over 30 plus years of industry experience in infrastructure design, deployment, leading IT functions, IT strategy adoption, program management, people management, and wide exposure to the IT services management space, cybersecurity, and GRC. Bharat has served global clients across banking, financial services, insurance, and healthcare industry as well. Prior to joining ValueMomentum, he has performed various in leadership and entrepreneur roles as well. Bharat is a regular speaker in major local and global cybersecurity conferences, webinars, seminars, and similar events for sharing his best practices and raising cybersecurity awareness within the IT industry. Bharat, it's an absolute pleasure to have you today.
Same here, Khushbu. Thank you.
Great. I am also accompanied by Vikas Bhonsle. He is Chief Executive Officer at Crayon Software Experts India Private Limited and also our moderator for today's session. Vikas is responsible for developing and implementing Crayon's vision and strategy to become one of the fastest growing cloud companies globally. Vikas is focused on building a diversified and vibrant workforce, next generation of leaders, and upgrading overall capability of the organization in an extremely dynamic market. Vikas, pleasure to have you again.
Pleasure to be back here, Khushbu. It's been a kind of a hiatus because for a long time we were not on this platform. So thank you so much. And let me welcome you, Bharath, as a good friend, as somebody that has been very close to our business, a big supporter of ours. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on this show on digital disruptors. So I'm very, very sure that our listeners will be cued in to listen to what's coming from your thought process and what you have done. So a warm welcome to you, Bharath.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vikas.
Yeah. So let me first begin by asking you a little about ValueMomentum. I know for some this would perhaps be a little bit of a new name. So it'll be nice if you can spend some time talking about your business, Bharath.
Yeah, sure, because we start with ValueMomentum. It's a two-decade-old young company, I can say. And we've been into a market and then ever transforming, ever changing, right from the typical professional services organization engaging bodies until today, a full-fledged product development company, and also duly supported with the professional services wing, which basically adds to the revenue part of it. And we've been in this market last 2 decades, as I said, they're serving various insurance, which is non-life predominantly, and the healthcare and banking and the financial services customers. 95% of them are from US, whereas the rest of them are from APAC region. And then we basically in this industry competing with the big fours and have, I can say, work with the top 50 insurance carriers in US, which are Fortune 500, and the top 10 insurance clients in India. And we've been offering various services under digital and cloud, data analytics, the CCM practices, which includes the interesting chapter for our today's discussion is the digital and cloud line of business, which I closely work with. And this basically helps the consumers to again transform into a fully digital organization. So there are multiple value provisioning that has been consistently being made by us, and that's how we have above 97% of the customer retention rate. And also we've been working with our clients, I think, say last 15 to 20 years. That's a kind of a strong professional bond that we've established, which is added with the trust and the confidence on our delivery capabilities and technology expertise and domain expertise predominantly. Yeah, that's about value.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about stats which are like 97% retention ratio and deep relationship, right? I think these two are standout statistics for businesses today, because we've all gone through this whole pandemic phase, and we've heard a lot about being empathetic, being trustworthy, building that level of trust, and in many ways, this last 1.5, almost coming to close to 2 years, has been a very defining time for some businesses, right? It's allowed small businesses to become disruptive and steal a march over some of the other bigger competitors. You spoke about the big four. So, one of the questions I love to ask on the show is, how has that last 18, 20 months been for the business? How have you used technology to make sure that productivity is maintained, your business continuity is not affected, and perhaps even, with the help of technology, have you been able to do something that most of your larger, more illustrious competitors have not been able to do? We'd like to hear something on those lines, Bharath.
Yeah, because I can say that the journey that we have defined for ValueMomentum in the year 2017 was how do we digitally transform to face the upcoming requirements of our clients. Let's say as we closely work with our clients and we also part of their designing or defining their IT roadmap, we understand their business priorities and see that typically I can say that their business roadmap is my IT roadmap. It's nothing different, honestly. So their business priorities are my priorities. It's nothing different other than that. So most of our digital transformation journey is built around the client priorities. I can say that. For example, when we have introduced a couple of case studies I can probably show here is that the follow the sun model. As we started working with our clientele, and then they would expect us to see that, okay, there's nothing called on-site, offshore, near-shore, offshore, off-site, offshore. No. Let it be a follow the sun model. That means 24/7, they work with an organization, ValueMomentum. And they see that at this point of time, they're expecting a very robust remote service delivery framework that you have to establish. This basically was the question that we had from our clientele saying that, hey, now you know that you've been operating as a standard typical organization that serves from your offices, and you have all your employees serving us and part of our project delivery from the offshore locations. But what if at all, if you have to work remotely and you work for 24/7?
Yeah.
So the first thing came into our mind is that, hey, what are those things that basically that we have to make sure it's transformed into digital. And 2017, where we started our journey saying that no cloud, and 2022 beginning would be all cloud. So honestly, so this no cloud to low cloud and then hybrid to all cloud, the journey. Thanks that for the vision that we have set up for the organization, thanks to my colleagues as part of the C-level. Always we've been thinking that how do we enable our workforce to deliver better, irrespective of the facility or the location that they have, irrespective of the device they have been using, irrespective of the application they work on, basically to be a part of our network. So that's where we started looking into this and then helped our employees to equip fully 100% to deliver as they're doing it office while they're working remotely. So this just started from 2017, and I remember, and 2018 is where the whole strategy and thought process and the roadmap and the milestones started getting defined. 2019 is where we started moving people. Let's say percentage of workforce. We started with, as any other nation, 5%, then 10%. Yeah. And end of December 2019, we can say that around 25 to 30% of workforce has the ability to work remotely and deliver to the actual clients. I think that is one thing. The second thing is that basically, as we work with most of these insurance, financial services, healthcare industry clients, the most important thing what they have is, hey, how about security? How about the data privacy part? So to ensure everything, we moved everything onto cloud again. So that means if somebody has to connect to everything to my customer, they would be going through a common gateway. So right from the devices being migrating from physical to virtual, and the firewalls and the networks moving from on-premise to cloud, and the applications like all my, you can say the Link, Skype, Exchange, moving from on-premise to cloud. So we started looking at Office 365, Dynamics 365, HR, These are some of the technologies that we started implementing. And this helped us to be better prepared. I can say much better prepared for this disruption that we had at the pandemic time. And at this point of time, what we've also seen that when we moved the global 3,000 plus workforce in a week's time. That's starting in the last March, somewhere around 20th of March 2020. And this is because of the 1 year planning that we had prior to that to make sure this is something which we have in place. One is cloud. The second is you talk about the cloud, I would say here, the IaaS, PaaS, SaaS of the world. So whatever we could make it internally, all the homegrown products, and we see that if they need to be transformed digitally, if there is a need of a re-architect the whole stuff, we have gone ahead and subscribed for the SaaS models. And wherever it is not required, basically, we could do a little bit of customization and do, it's not the entire legacy transformation, but we don't have those many applications as a small organization. So we could very swiftly, quickly move all of them onto cloud. So adoption of the well-established as PaaS, as SaaS technologies help organizations to be a lot more prepared for digital disruption. And then at this point of time, as an organization, and we have also set up a benchmark when our clients started working with us, they were really surprised to see that the agility that we had in moving everybody into during the pandemic time to move from work from home, and with less than 1% of productivity drop and absolutely zero security or data breach incidents. So thanks to the vision set up by the entire board and the colleagues, I think this is where really helped us to adopt the cloud as a digital enabler, I can say, more than digital disruptor. But yes, that really helps us and our clients to be on the same page.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, I obviously will ask you some questions on the security aspect that you just touched upon. You also said that the productivity was almost unaffected, right? But in my experience, when I talk to large, small organizations, this whole cloud journey is not really very easy, right? Convincing your stakeholders, looking at a lock, stock, and barrel movement from your on-premises or some other cloud to some other cloud, and there could be a lot of obstacles in this journey. Now, you have used cloud as a massive business enabler in ValueMomentum. Or what could be your advice to people? And as we go, there are a lot who want to go onto the cloud, become more digital. Is there some valuable piece of advice that you can give, given the fact that your cloud journey has been about 3 to 4 years now? Is there something you'd like to share with everybody with respect to cloud?
Sure. I can say the kind of benefits that we as an SME organization at a 4,000 global workforce, what we could see, what we would experience, in fact. And these benefits are really helped an organization like us can just imagine for a startup or even a large company to move the cloud and while adopting the cloud as a business enabler. See, for us, everything is cloud as a delivery platform, as a technology platform, as a communication collaboration platform, and as you say, the remote service delivery platform. For everything we adopted. So if at all, if any organization start looking into this journey, let's say that if at all, am I comfortable in using on-prem infrastructure? Yes, you might be, but down the line, if you see that most of the things, I can only talk about the Ubers and the Airbnbs of the world. Everything has been a digital disruption. So we have to move to the cloud to meet the requirements. Let's say that if you're a professional service organization or a product development company, you talk about how do you enable your global development teams to get the best out of the CI/CD features that are there existing on the platforms like Azure, AWS, or if you really want to enable your global workforce to work as a single large team, and if you establish a seamless and secure communication platform between all of them, then that is one thing which you should look at cloud. But mainly what you can say that at this point of time, if you are developing, creating digital assets, I think the best protection, the best security, and the best, because I'm trying to make this point a little emphasized here, because a lot of people have this challenge saying that, is cloud secure? Can I move my digital assets onto the cloud? I can vouch for it. Yes, you can definitely move all of them into the cloud, and that's one thing. And as part of the professional services company, you engage your teams to get used to work on the cloud platform. I'm saying that if the other question which comes up in my mind, and most of the CIOs or even the CFOs for that matter, what benefit you get to move to cloud? Is it because of cost, or is it because of scalability, or because of efficacy? You talk about multiple things, but I can straight away, I can say is seamless, secure service delivery. That's what as an CIO or a CIO, so what I can feel in the organization, what we are set up for ourselves and helping our customers to do it. So any organization who starts looking at cloud, they should look at by this time, though it might be a little late, but yes, this pandemic situation, whatever has happened, has taught a lesson saying that unless you continuously monitor the technology disruption that is happening in the domain, in the industry, you have to have your planning to be agile. I can share one example. What we thought is what we will do at 3 years down the line. In the year 2020, 2023, we have to do it by 2021. So it compelled us to think in a different way. It compelled us to think that we are already there and we are late. I think that kind of force is what I think people should have in their mind and speed up their cloud migration journey. This basically helps. There are multiple use cases, because I can say that there are use cases for the CFOs, there are multiple use cases in CTOs. It meets everybody's demand as of today. So as an organization working with, start with low cloud. I think that's something which you do. But from low cloud, I would honestly and sincerely suggest to move all cloud, because that time to move from low cloud to hybrid and then hybrid to all cloud is going to take a lot of time. And at this point of time, because of the hybrid work environment, whatever we talk about it, or setting up and then meeting the global workforce demand of working remotely and then connecting to a single secure platform, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, I think invaluable advice, because I think a lot of organizations are struggling with this whole piece on hybrid and how the whole new world is evolving. Again, agility is a big point, because cloud gives you that agility, right? What you want to do in 5 years, you perhaps kind of do it in 3 years, but then there are other things to manage. And I'll not touch upon that, but touch upon two very important aspects, Bharath, that you spoke about. So this one spoke about security. The other I will ask you after some time. So you went from no cloud, low cloud, hybrid, perhaps full cloud, right? Conversely, security goes from very secure, at least in the minds of people, to little secure, to no security at all. That's the way people start thinking, because your assets are somewhere in someone data centers, and you will like to keep some of the more robust legacy applications which are core to the business with you on-prem, and then the more peripheral kind of application workloads go onto the cloud. But then when you start looking at all cloud, you're saying that you are going to lose control, and that's what CIOs feel, and everything is now controlled by somebody else. So how did you maintain and adopt a highly secure, robust posture when it comes to security? Especially you move 3,000 people onto the cloud. So that's a huge shift. So would you like to elaborate a little bit more on the security aspects and what you implemented from a framework standpoint to ensure everything is secure?
Absolutely, sure. I say that security and cloud, I would say that it's a combined responsibility. Let's say you talk about two CSPs, the cloud service provider responsibility and the cloud solution provider responsibility.
Yeah.
So when we work with, we ourselves being a CSP, the cloud solution provider, and we closely work with the Microsofts of the world, the Azure data centers across the one, or the CSP, the cloud service providers for us, it's a combined responsibility. So what I can say is that today, absolutely, there should not be any even 1% of the doubt that people should have that is my data going to be secure on cloud. I can say yes, and then how is it? Let's say so there are three types of way we can ensure this. One is talk about leave a few things to the cloud service provider, which basically he's supposed to maintain and take care of it. I'm talking about. So here I'm not quoting a third party data centers. I'm purely talking about the public cloud infrastructure like your Azure and AWS, because that's where we have been on that. Though we have also evaluated the third-party data centers for a few of them, which are reputed in the industry, but still, what we have seen is that the best advantage of me, again, it's our experience, in fact, is to directly move on to the public cloud. So, and that's where, and then you have a strong in-house cloud management practice team, or you have to tie up with somebody like CSP. So currently we have at least a couple of large engagements happening with Crayon. So Crayon as a CSP, the cloud solution provider, is helping us over there, in fact. So when we go back and then try to work on that, the security thing starts from, and say that the CSP, the cloud service provider, and you just make sure that when you choose them, there is a multiple third-party CSP security evaluation checklists are available. And we closely work with the likes of the Ernst & Young. We work with the multiple other companies, let's say PwC, to make sure that we evaluate the cloud service provider security thoroughly. That basically takes care, because at least 30% of it, I can say 30-35% of the security has been taken care by the cloud security, the service provider part. Because of these 27,001, and that's what we talk about, but they talk about 27,017, 27,018, your cloud security alliance guidelines, whatnot. But rest of it, so that's where you can see that most of the your environment is secure on a click. And then you talk about, you don't need to worry about the DDoS, VIPT, and whatnot, all that stuff. So when we come back into the application security, still, as long as you're a SaaS subscription with Microsoft, look at the world of the Office 365, the Dynamics 365, there is an inbuilt security layer which is being offered by Microsoft as part of the solutions to the customer. So at this point of time, I can say that for my job, there itself becomes 50% easy, not only 30%. I'm talking about, when you talk about IaaS, yes, 30% and PaaS around 40%, but SaaS, at least 50% is being taken care by them. And when you come to our side, when there is a responsibility as a consumer organization, I can talk about, let's say that we have to have our own robust defined security frameworks. As we, for example, if you look at, we are the company which is ISO 27001 certified, and SSE 18 type 2 SOC 2, we are PCI DSS, we are HIPAA certified. If you look at our organization, the level of information security that we have on-prem, we were maintaining it till last 15 plus years. And then we have decided that what is the kind of security that we need to be having in cloud while moving my digital assets. And what will be the responsibility that I still continue to have, even though assets are moved to cloud. And what is the responsibility that the CSPs, the cloud service providers, will have. So we did a deep brainstorming over there. We saw that we started with the frameworks. Okay, what is that which I have to start with? So I'll continue with the 27,001. So what is, for me, it's required to move to the cloud? Yes. How do I establish my application security on cloud? So how do I continue to leverage the OWASP guidelines? How do I leverage the secure development lifecycle practices? Everything on cloud, because my development is on cloud, my testing is on cloud, and whatever I'm hosting the environments is on cloud. So everywhere we see that the on-prem security development practices, hardly there could be a 20-25% of the chain, the transmission that you have to do, and then move them on to cloud. So that is one thing we should do it. So the frameworks which we adopt, for example, the best one I can talk about NIST, CISF, the next NIST cloud security framework. And that basically gives us a lot of insights in terms of how do you evaluate, how do you establish a practice. The second most important point, what I can say quickly, is that talk about while moving everything onto cloud, we have multiple deep dive sessions on cloud security architecture. So what is my current security on-prem and how would it be replicated on the cloud? Exactly. You talk about the multiple VLANs being migrated to VNets, and talk about how my on-prem firewalls are being converted into WAF. So everywhere you need to do a mapping. We did a mapping of everything. So I have on, let's say, physical security, logical security, virtual security measures, and exactly map them on the cloud. And when we did that, we found, okay, where all those things which basically Microsoft as a cloud service provider can take care, and I as a consumer organization responsible for my own production for intellectual property, the digital assets, is what I'm responsible for. but the frameworks, models, and also consulting experience also helped a lot. I say that we have multiple third-party organizations which do regular audits, and there's a security consulting that we had with the likes of one of the big four companies, which I mentioned earlier. So our groundwork, our preparation, where the security was involved right from design, right from architecture, right from deployment, right from testing, and that continues to be there on the cloud. So I don't see any need to be worried, but only thing is you just have to include these thoughts process right from the planning.
Yeah. So beautifully put. So encapsulated, think about security very early in the whole architecture. Bring in the service providers that help you, build the kind of a framework, make it all pervasive, physical, virtual, hybrid, all of that, and then use a combination of the native tools that the providers provide, and any third-party things that you can work with, and together create a very robust framework. Right. I'd like to ask the next question. It's slightly an extension of this. You work with a lot of regulated industries. You spoke about insurance, healthcare, just to name a couple of them. Data privacy is becoming a massive issue today, right? And there is, hence with that comes compliance, and how are you using that, and how sensitive you are to that information. What are the measures you are taking, Bharath, with your clients when it comes to this entire paradigm of data privacy?
Great. That's a very important question. Thanks for asking that, Vikas, because that's one concern which I regularly address in multiple panel discussions, wherever I be a part of it. The main challenge is that we started in 2014 onwards. I've been start hearing about the concerns on data privacy, but it was there much before, where the entire data is being outsourced to India, where people used to bring the data, store it in the offshore, process it, and again upload. That was a factor that we had.
Yeah.
But and that especially for any of those companies who are working with the data that is dealing with your PI, your PHI, or PCI, or PFI, I think that's where a lot of customers had concerns while doing it. So there are two areas what I can see. Either customers was not really that concerned, or the customers are very confident about their own information security, data privacy protection that they have, while extending their network access to the offshore service providers. But the things have changed drastically from, again, say 2014 to 2017. It's a big leap in the whole industry what it took, saying that the data privacy has become the second largest concern while outsourcing that part of it. So what do you say? This so security has become third now. So what happened is the first one was obviously the cost when you're outsourcing. So people would look at getting cost benefit. But later on, the privacy, it's just because of a lot of issues that have happened in the industry. But right now, from 2007 onwards, privacy has been the biggest concern. So if you work with the healthcare, the insurance, especially the non-life part, inevitably you will be touching their data, the US citizen data, which includes their SSN numbers and includes their PHI data. So how do we handle that? So what at this point of time we work with the clients is that we are asking our customers to establish a completely digital and cloud-based virtual infrastructure as part of their IT roadmap. Make sure they secure it and focus more on IRM part, and make sure that at this point of this set up a robust remote security access systems at their end, and then also closely work with the service providers CIO organization to make sure that any data privacy concerns, it could be CCPA, it could be NYDFS, it could be anything for that matter, whatever the data privacy, for that matter, the India Data Privacy Act will talk about it. So data localization, data access, and data encryption, and especially if you talk about logging, monitoring, who's accessing what data. Now, all this have become, I say, the first and foremost requirement for a company. What we have done as a company to work with our and continue to give them that level of confidence and trust is that what we've done from our side is we started adopting a multi-pronged strategy. We say that, hey, this is what we will take care from our side. This is what you take care from your side. And this is what we do it together. So for example, I can quickly share that what it is typically data privacy, how it is ensured in one single statement. It is from a secure source, through a secure source, to a secure source. So it's a three-pronged strategy. It's a responsibility of three. So in between, when we deal with the third parties like the service providers, it could be ISPs or ITSPs or OSPs, CSPs. When you come back, we as an organization adopted saying that privacy is our first foremost concern for us. And for that, we have completely hardened every source that basically connect to these missions. And this is completely hardened. And in fact, we have a blue team, we have a red team who continuously checks the security level of these source missions, basically wherever. And especially while accessing nowadays those kind of data from remotely, we have adopted multiple technology. It's especially talking about from where you establish it. Could be a policy-based control, it could be a tool-based control, it could be a device-based control. You implement everything as part of the switch. And then you make sure that the way you are reaching to your customer is encrypted and it is going through a secure internet gateway connection. And that basically helps them. And then once it reaches to the customer network, we told them, hey, how do you authenticate us when you access any of these connections remotely? And we told them, see, for example, another thing which you work with our customer, the important point is NIST has a privacy framework, like NIST has a cybersecurity framework. It also has a privacy framework. Similarly, you talk about ISO 27017 also has the privacy framework. And when we talk about multiple privacy standards that we incorporate within that, we do a testing. That means the testing what we have been working as client CSO organization. Hey, you create a staging environment, dump the data there, and give us for testing. Okay, we start testing it, and then you probably monitor the logs, whatever is coming up, and then we'll together work and then make sure that any data privacy related requirements that basically either they have an organization because they deal with the US citizens data, or we as a third party technology service provider organization, as a service organization, when we go back to them, how do we meet those norms? Especially, so for us, we need to understand as an organization saying that if I'm working with a healthcare company, if I'm working with a financial service or a bank, saying that as a third-party technology service provider who's outside of your geography and trying to access your citizens' data, what exactly it applies to me? So that is why you talked about your GLBA. We spent a lot of time on this. So we understood what exactly GLBA implies for us, and the Graham-Leach-Bell Act. We talk about the HIPAA part. We talk about the FISMA. It's all these standards. So everywhere there the data privacy thing comes up, start with the framework, model, and apply those specific control objectives and controls as part of your cybersecurity framework. And it goes well hand in hand between us, our clients, and the third-party organizations.
Yeah, well, superbly summarized, Bharath. Really, when you think about it, you want to achieve something, you have to make that a big priority, right? If you make security a priority, privacy a priority, then the steps, which could be varied and many, they do fall in place because you're so focused on that. I'm going to conclude with one question, and I'm going to switch tracks a bit, Bharath. So we spoke a lot about what you did at ValueMomentum, but you also play an invaluable role as a mentor, for startups in food tech, agro tech, environment tech. And there is, I know that you are deeply involved with, and you spoke about ISPs, a lot of these providers. So what I would like to know is what's your role and how deeply are you involved, and how do you see some of these startups which are mushrooming provide solutions to challenges that have risen during the pandemic?
Great. It's an interesting question. Yeah, thanks. In fact, that's one area which basically I do it in an individual personal capacity, and because that really I see the young entrepreneurs are trying to spend time and then create some digital disruption solutions over there, and then who are growing up. And I closely was monitoring their progress, growth, and all. In fact, so it also helps me to learn a lot, in fact, while working with those startups, saying that. Because when you start interacting with your peers in the industry and you work with the next gen thought process people who are those startup entrepreneurs, you talk about techpreneurs, you talk about entrepreneurs, you talk about co-preneurs, and this is the community you talk about. Let's say the people are there in the industry everywhere and then trying to do multiple things. Exciting to see them. But at this point of time, when I was part of any of those mentoring, I choose wherever I feel my experience or expertise can add a value over there. I specifically focus of my involvement, which basically related to this discussion, is that I keep telling them that one thing, that whatever you do it, just imagine that it has to be the two ways to do it. One, it has to be tech driven. Second, it has to be data driven. And whatever you take up as a security, even I'm talking about the food tech, I'm talking about the envirotech, agrotech, aquatech, whatever we're saying that. What comes into the mind is that when you define a goal, saying that is what is that which basically a kind of disruption you're creating, and basically what is the value that you're trying to provision, and then how soon you can do that. That matters. If you have a vision saying that after 5 years, probably my product would do this, by the time people will not have the need. So you need to accelerate. You need to be so agile in bringing up your third parts into the prototypes and the final products. And then while you work on the patenting part and you work on this, offering them as, and then how soon you can convert these products as a service and to make them available as a service for their customers. So those days are gone. That's what I keep telling them, saying that, okay, you have an idea, to convert an idea into a business plan and convert the business plan into a product. People used to spend 3 years. That was time when talk about 2017, 14 to 2017 kind of time frames. But 2017 onwards, you see that that's been accelerated. I said, same example, from low cloud to, I say that avoiding hybrid and moving to all cloud, that's a jump I've been telling everybody to take. Start everything on cloud. That's a mantra. You want to start everything, just simply get tied up with the CSP, the cloud solution provider. Talk to them. Hey, I know I need these kind of things to be what on the cloud. This is what I'm exactly trying to do, and this is the benefit that I'm trying to provide to my customers. And if I have to do it, let me know how cloud helps. That's a question we should have. So for every most of these startups, I know that you may be interacting with them. Most of the CEOs are the techpreneurs rather than entrepreneurs. So typically, it's a good one way. It's a good thing to start it because they know the value of the cloud, digital. So if you want to really disrupt the way the other companies are doing business, disrupt the pricing strategies, disrupt the way they are trying to sell the product, and then bring everything onto one single consolidated platform and offer everything as a service. Let your customers focus on their core business. And if they're going to subscribe for a service with you, to make sure that you onboard them in less than an hour. And I would say that I have been giving them some of those targets to the CEOs of the company. Is, what goal we should keep it for next. I said, onboarding time should be 10 seconds. I say that somebody just go subscribe, onboard everything, and do a quick digital verification of whatever the statutory requirements are there, your onboarding client. Second thing, give them a visibility of their own business, which they are otherwise not getting. Give them the insights of the data that they are dealing with, and then which otherwise they are not getting it. So as long as you are there so deeply involved in their business and able to do a decent value addition, value provisioning, in fact, when you become a success partner for them, and that you deliver everything for them using the cloud, and see that the early adoption is the only mantra. So start from cloud, continue on cloud, never ever leave everything on the cloud part, and then make everything as a service. If you see that there is something which you cannot offer as a service, either you should re-architect it or should just simply leave that idea. That's what I did.
Yeah. So pushing the power of the cloud, the digital era, looking at how you can create scale with agility, and then of course platforms which are all encompassing, gives you one single view across everything that you do. A great talking to you, Bharath. I think you've left through this conversation valuable nuggets of wisdom, of things that you should do as startups and of course as large businesses. So it's an absolute pleasure talking to you, Bharath. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same here, Vikas. Nice talking to you. And then thanks for asking those questions, because most of the times I see that whatever the valuable insight that we could share through our experiences and through our expertise, it's something which trying to help the fellow organizations or the startups. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Khushbu.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Thank you so much, Bharath, once again for joining on this platform and sharing all these wonderful insights. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you. Yeah. Have a great day and great week ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.